Okay, here we go. All right. Hello, everybody. This is Danielle Hawkins from Aphrodite Virtual Women's Sexual Health, and I've got Mary McCormick here. Mary is owner of All Life is Yoga in Eagle River, Alaska, and she's been a good friend of mine for about 5 years and my yoga instructor. And as you guys know, we've been talking about adrenal fatigue this week. And so I believe yoga is a tremendous treatment for adrenal fatigue. Before you do anything with medications or hormone replacement or anything like that, you can really fix a lot of your hormone issues just with yoga alone. So I know Mary has helped me a lot in my own journey with yoga. And so I wanted to bring her on and ask her some questions and ask her because she's kind of the subject matter expert in this, not me. So I'm just going to give you guys a little intro on Mary. Mary's been involved in yoga for over 20 years, and she feels that yoga is more powerful than any other style of exercise that she's ever done. Her journey into yoga was not clear in the beginning, but she's always had a passion to pursue fitness. So she attended UAA, so that's University of Alaska in Anchorage, to pursue becoming a fitness instructor and personal trainer. And after graduation, she worked at the Alaska Club, teaching aqua, step cycling, strength training exercises, everything that she could to do health and fitness. And in 2004, she was introduced to Yoga Fit. And she began training and teaching out of her garage in 2005. And as her knowledge and love for yoga grew, she opened her studio in September of 2011. And her family has lived in this wonderful town of Eagle River, Alaska. If you haven't been there, it is amazing. I miss it so much. And she feels that yoga is a gift to ourselves and to each other. And yoga is a way to breathe and move safely while creating a space in our bodies called flexibility, and can help us get back to our true authentic soul and create harmony and feeling of wholeness of our body and mind. Her strength and joy comes from the joy she sees in her students, and the gratitude in her heart is overwhelming. She prays every day in thanksgiving for all, and she welcomes all to yoga. I love that intro.
Yay!
Right. So speaking of stress and adrenal fatigue, so adrenal fatigue being from chronic stress, how are you guys doing with COVID and the stress of all of that and how that's going for your business?
So thank you so much first of all, for asking me to do this. I, being 47, have really feel like I've been on this hormone journey a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though I've had a very close encounter with adrenal fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
Stress affects everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in my heart that we need to teach everyone how to manage stress. What does that really look like? What does that feel like in the body? And I am telling you, when you're done with a yoga class, that's what not feeling like stress feels like.
Mm-hmm.
That energy of peace and bliss, and like everything just feels connected. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
it
okay,
does.
you know what? I've got way more clarity and I can make a really great decision. And, and yoga's been around for 5,000 years. And so obviously it's working. It's doing something right, and it's helping us.
Yeah.
And so during this COVID, people, in my opinion, are treating COVID like the holidays. And what I mean by that is they're baking like Martha Stewart, right? They're baking all these breads and sugars and all these things that, what does that do? Puts a stress on the body. They're probably drinking way more. Another toxin, another stress on the body. They're out of their routine, so they're not going to the gym and they're not working out, and another stress on the body, because your whole body's like, what's going on? The worry of our society, the worry of our world, the worry of there's so many things right now that people, I don't think, have been given the tools to handle. And so now It's crazy. People are, obviously you can see what's happening in the world. They're reaching out in other ways. And so I love that you are doing this because adrenals, right, are the stress hormone. And that if we can just implement like a handful of small tools, then I believe in my heart that you can start to figure out how to manage everything going on a little bit better.
Yeah.
We have had to learn how to pivot and turn here at this yoga studio, period, in this pandemic. People are afraid to go anywhere, it seems like, but then they're frustrated because they can't go anywhere. So it's this very negative loop.
Mm-hmm.
But the good news is this. I know that with the holidays, you always think, okay, January 1st, I'm going to do so good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so January 1st, we don't know when COVID's going to be done. So we have to move that. We have to change our brain set. We have to think about, okay, what can I do today to build up my immune system? So then when I do come in contact with COVID, I actually won't even get it. Like it won't even, my system, my body, my mind, my spirit, everything is so strong that I'm not even going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And stress management is huge. And how do we manage our stress? One, our intentions and our thoughts. Like what can we really control? Right? There's only two things we can control: our effort and our attitude. And
Mm-hmm.
both of those things start in the brain. And that's why we need to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
We need to exercise. We need to breathe. And, eat really good. So, we have actually moved all of our classes online. So they're virtual, so people can do yoga at home. And then also we have created these 3 sets of videos that have 15 different videos per set that people can do at their own time. They can just buy those, and they're all the instructors of All Life is Yoga. So they're the people, like, I also feel like people get to know someone and then they're like, oh my gosh, now what do I do? You create that relationship, that connection. And so, anyways, our videos are not professional. They are not Peloton, which I really tried to be like Peloton because I love them. But our videos are awesome because they're us, and people can do those videos at any time. The big thing is they just need to create that new habit of making sure they start a routine. And stress management. Oh, I'm going to give you one of my favorite and best tips ever. Every Sunday I sit down and I plan out my week. I plan out our food. I plan out my exercising. I plan out who has the kids, what's going on with the kids. So then me and my husband, because it felt like sometimes that's a stress, is relationships. And one of the stress, I think, things that we can do is talk to our husbands about what we need from them. And I realized years ago, I wanted to be the perfect wife. So I wanted to do everything. I wanted to make sure the house was clean and all the food was done and the kids were taken care of and I could do everything and I could work and right. And that's not the case for anybody. We should not do that to ourselves. It's actually really, really terrible for our bodies.
Right.
So,
and our relationships.
So what other questions do you have for me? Because I could just keep talking.
So, okay. So you mentioned your husband. And so what I'm doing is kind of specializing in sexual health for women, because women tend to have sexual dysfunction and we don't ever talk about it in traditional settings in the doctor's office. Less than 50% of even gynecologists ask women about their sexual satisfaction. And my big thing is I see women, I've treated men in the past and I've treated women in the past. And with men, it's pretty easy. I mean, not that stress doesn't affect them, but for them, sex seems to be their release. But with women, the last thing you want to do when you're stressed is have sex. So I feel like stress and relationships and couples, all of that goes together. So
100%.
how do you feel like yoga? I know I've done some couples yoga with you. Do you feel like that helps couples to connect physically and kind of helps get rid of that stress that's all around?
Yeah. And actually there's been tons of research and science proven that even if you just well, with couples yoga, there's a lot of balancing that is
Right.
required. So you actually have to communicate with each other in a, hopefully in a loving, kind way. The other thing is you have to actually trust each other, because you're like, we do some really wonderful like back bends and you're holding that person. And so that you build that communication and trust in a different way.
Mhm.
It also, because you're opening up. So what yoga does, right, is let's just say you do a butterfly pose where the soles of your feet are together, your knees are out and you're coming forward. You
Mhm.
immediately start to open up your hips. When you
Right.
open up your hips, there are these meridians that run through the body, and there's like 9 of them right in the hip joint that all actually activate into basically your sexual organs and all of that energy down there. And you feel more open, you feel more connected.
Mhm.
And that's what yoga does. It creates space in the body for energy to flow. So,
Mhm.
and when you have more space in the body for energy to flow, you're just going to feel better. So yes, doing yoga with your person, you create this intimacy, and it does help sexual basically urges and desires. And
Mhm.
you see your person in a, in a cute tank top and shorts, and you're like, oh, I love my person. And I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
and we laugh. And did you know, and I'm sure you know this, but laughter is one of the best things you can do to 100% reset your cortisol. It like brings it back down. It's like it doesn't release it like you're doing that fight or flight, right? It just
Mhm.
helps. Laughter is so important. We have to laugh with our people.
Mhm.
um in all of our relationships, laughter is wonderful. It diffuses if there is some stress going on. But you're absolutely right. Yoga does help people to feel more in touch with themselves.
Mhm.
And then also when their person just in the class, even if you're not doing couples yoga, but you're just doing yoga together,
Mhm.
it really creates this energy, this connection, this beautiful, like, I'm taking care of me and you're taking care of you, and we're filling our cups so then we can actually spill to each other.
Yeah.
So we can't change another person. We can only really work on ourselves and be an example. And when we do that, hopefully our other person wants to join in.
Yeah.
And keep inviting, right?
Mhm.
Always invite, even if they say no, always invite. And I also, I'm very open with my girlfriends, and we do talk about sex, and we do talk about like, and I've said, you guys, if you want it, ask, rub
Mhm.
their back. Don't always wait for them,
Right.
because probably you have said no to them so many times that they're just like, oh, forget it.
I'm even gonna
She's
ask.
whatever.
Mhm.
And so yeah, no, I love that you're doing this so much, because I feel like there is a war on marriages right now.
Mhm.
And I think people really do love their husbands and wives, but they just get off track.
Mhm.
And stress gets them off track, and it affects everything inside of us.
Yeah. So, okay, so I know you've had your own kind of experience with adrenal fatigue. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got married in 99, had my first child in 2000, had my second child in 2003. Um, and at that time, I was actually finishing my degree in 2003, plus working, at the Alaska Club, watching kids, and also at the pharmacy. So I was wearing a lot of hats, plus
Yeah.
being mom, so I'm just giving you a little bit of a
And trying to do it all.
an outlet, right? So basically, it was the week of Christmas, and I believe in exercise. In fact, one of my philosophies is move my body every day, no matter what, whether it's walking the dog, yoga, running, hiking in the mountains, whatever. But it is my personal non-negotiable that I work out every day.
Mhm.
So anyways, it was a Monday evening, and it was the week of Christmas. And this is in 2006.
Mhm.
So my kids are a little older, and but I'm still doing a lot with yoga out of my garage, the pharmacy, being a mom, daughter, wife, sister, like all the things that I love. These are a lot of blessings. And again, it's your perception, how you look at things.
Mhm.
So that will help your stress, by the way. So anyways, I went to a weight training class. And so it was an hour class, and I just kicked butt. But after the class got done, I was like, usually I'm on a high, like I feel so good and I feel like, oh yeah, right. I had this weird ache in my hand and I just felt a little weird. I'm like, wow, I just must have lifted too heavy.
Mhm.
That Tuesday morning, I woke up and I'm like, I don't feel good. I really worked hard yesterday, but it was like my whole body ached in a weird way. And I was like, this is weird. And I know my body really well. So I was like, I'm drinking water and I'm drinking my green smoothie. And I'm watching my kids and we're trying to do stuff. And I made it through the day. And then I woke up at like, I don't know, 5 a.m. on Wednesday and I couldn't move. I could not move. So about 7 o'clock in the morning, I called my massage therapist and I said, Patty, can you please get me in? I worked out so hard on Monday night. I have no idea what I did. I can't even move. And she's like, oh my gosh, Mary, I can get you in at 8 a.m. I'm like, that's perfect because I have to get the kids dropped off because I have to go teach or I have to go to work.
Mhm.
So did the massage. She's like, your muscles something's off, Mare. And I'm like, I feel like it is too. I don't know what's going on. And so then I went to work and literally I was like walking like I was like I should not have been there. And but it was Christmas Eve and the pharmacy is super busy around the holidays because people are trying to get all their stuff because you're closed, and anyways, I only had to, it was like my shift was like 10 to 6. And so they're like, Mary, if you could just make it, please, just because I didn't have a fever. And so I wasn't like the flu, like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't that sick. It was weird. And at about 4 o'clock, I collapsed. And they're like, what? And so basically my body was shutting down because I was in adrenal failure.
Oh my gosh.
So, and no one had any idea. And I went immediately to right across the street was the acute family medicine. They brought me there. They got me on IVs. They're like, oh my gosh. They're running blood work and they're like, ah. So,
so did you like have true like Addison's?
well, no, well, yes, but no. So Addison's has like where you're like you swell and you flood.
Like
I mean,
chronic thing.
right. But it was so different. And that's what they said. Like it can show up differently in everybody's body. But the biggest thing is for me, it's that my body was shutting down. And when they did the blood work, they saw that my levels were crazy. And they're like, oh my gosh, your cortisol. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So needless to say, my mom still to this day says that I kind of wrecked Christmas. She's like, you were so grouchy. And I was. We got to my mom's, I think later, that I was grouchy, of course.
Yeah.
But being the person I am, I still wanted to keep doing all of the holidays, doing all the stuff and keep being involved. So again, I had to switch my mindset. So after the new year, me and my husband had a really heart to heart. And I was like, I'm sorry. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I need your help. And just saying those words, I need help, was so hard. It was crazy.
I know.
So, it was a huge redo. Like, you're going to have to start doing stuff around here. And then he did, but he's like, you never asked. And I didn't. So it wasn't his fault. It wasn't I don't like to do blame or any of that. So.
Yeah. So that helped. It sounds like. So
it did, but that was it's already 2000. So that was like 14 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
So people compare where I'm at to their beginning. And my big thing is start with 5 things. Make it simple, make a couple really strong commitments to yourself. you, and it doesn't have to be yoga, but what I love about yoga is that it really does strengthen and stretch the body. It really does not only work with the physical body, but it works with, because we are energy. So it
Mhm.
works with all of our energy, and it works with our mind and our breath, because we have to, you know, us as the instructor is trying to help you create this natural rhythm of breathing instead of like holding your breath or you know, breathing so fast and really shallow and not going into the depths of the lungs of how, you know, our lungs are supposed to be. And you know, I've had a couple people I know now who have had COVID,
Oh yeah.
and one of the big things, my friend Stephanie, she was like, Mary, I am so glad that I learned yoga breathing because it's helped me, because you know, the virus is going into the lungs. So when you actually can take a nice full breath, you're
Mhm.
utilizing and keeping the lungs super healthy and clean. So, and then also just deep breathing releases stress in the brain. And then, just there's
Yeah.
so many wonderful things. You know, I have in my phone, I have a lot of like little reminders.
Mhm.
Because if you're going to create a new habit, you actually have to do it for about 90 days.
Mhm.
I love the idea of 21 days, but it's 21 days without missing a day, 21 days without a mistake. So it really is about 90 days. Give yourself 3 months, commit to 3 months of doing just a handful of things every day, and notice and just be open. Go, okay, I am doing this because it's been proven. Meditation is proven to de-stress. Meditation is proven to change my brain. Meditation is proven to help me understand basically how being intentional, right?
Mhm.
So really being intentional about your day, about what you say to yourself, what you say to others. Everything starts in our minds. So we are what we think. So we need to think that, you know, we're strong and we handle stress well. And we live in a state of like peace, and we can handle things that come our way with an energy of mindfulness, not reacting, not literally letting. So from my understanding, because I'm not a doctor or anything, just from what I've learned and read and all of that good stuff, when you are stressed out and it affects your nervous system, right?
Mhm.
Back in the day, the reason why we had that is because we were having to survive,
Right.
right? Run from bears or go get a bear to eat it. Like it was survival mode. And
Right.
that's why we had all of this awesome adrenal release, this
Right.
cortisol release. But we don't really have that anymore.
Yeah.
And so now we have these little stressors, traffic, or you get in a fight, or something doesn't go your way, or you don't have all the things that you want. And these little stressors now, because our bodies think that we think that this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So this stress we think is a huge deal, when in turn we're basically tricking our bodies.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we need
I
to
always tell
understand the
patients
things we
that,
can control and the things we can't control.
yeah. Yeah. I always tell patients that the adrenals are like they're lifesavers, but they're not very smart. So they don't know the
Right.
difference between running from a bear and being stuck in traffic. And they react the same way either way. So if they think you're constantly running from a bear, at some point you can't run anymore. Like
Right.
they're just going to give out. So, yeah. Oh, all right. Let me see. Oh, so okay, if there was one yoga pose that you would recommend somebody who is dealing just with like adrenal stress or stress in general to do on a daily basis, what would it be? I think I want to guess, but
Oh, really? Okay,
I want
so
to guess what you're going to say.
so there is honestly about a handful, I would say a handful of poses that could be extremely beneficial. And I think it would be, and when you asked me that question, or you know, you were
Yeah,
wondering, I was like, there's so many different
I know.
ways, but the big thing is this: when you get stressed out, blood goes away from the brain and it goes basically to your internal organs,
Mhm.
because it's trying to protect, right, your heart,
Right.
basically, right? This life-giving force. So blood goes away from the brain. And that means, guess what? You're not going to make as good of decisions because your brain is like, wow, what's going on? And right. So I personally would say down dog because you're going to bring blood to your brain.
I thought you were going to say feet on the wall.
So legs up the wall, I would say, honestly, that is something people should do every single night before they go to bed.
Okay.
And think about gratitude.
Your thing. You like feet up the wall.
What was that?
I knew that legs on the wall is one of your.
It is one of my favorites. It's one of my go-tos. The big thing is we stand and we sit all day long. And we actually, blood and stuff pool in the legs. So when you do legs up the wall, one, it's extremely calming for the whole body. Two, it reverses blood flow in the legs. It decreases swelling. It's just extremely powerful. And the other reason why I love doing it at night, and I really do this every single night, is then when I'm laying back, I can actually do my gratitude journal or read or, something like that. But it gives me an opportunity just to get ready for bed. So that's a part of my evening routine.
Okay, cool.
But down dog in the morning or down dog in the middle of the day, I think would be awesome when you're just like, oh my gosh, what can I do? Even a forward fold, just bringing blood to the brain is so incredibly powerful for your adrenals.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. I'm going to have to check out your video stuff. I just finished a really hardcore 90-day workout, and I could tell this last week I was just not into it. And I have actually gained weight. And so I'm like, yeah, my adrenals need a reset. I need to go back to this yoga for a couple weeks.
Yoga's so good.
Get rid of my caffeine. And when I tell people to get rid of their caffeine, they are like, you're going to have to pry that out of my cold, dead hands. And I'm like, it really works, guys. I swear.
Yeah, so. It really does. And I had to do, when you have gone into adrenal failure and your body really was, like mine was, shutting down, I had to do a whole nutritional program. I had to just and one of the things is I had to take caffeine out. And then zero sugar, because that was inflammation. I had to be very mindful of anything heavy and just hard to eat, or your body to process. But food is medicine. And I drank a lot of bone broth during that time. And that was before bone broth was like bone broth. Like everybody's into bone broth, right?
Yeah, you can buy it at the store now.
I know. I had to learn how to make it. And my husband's like, put that crock pot outside. It stinks so bad. Like, seriously, like. But thank goodness my husband doesn't mind my, let's try this attitude. But food is awesome. So one thing that, one thing you can do also is food. And I think once you start exercising every day, then you get on this, you really start to create a wonderful habit in the mind, and you get stronger, not only physically, but mentally. And you're like, you know what? I really don't need that. That's going to make my workout harder. So this is the other thing. We do need positive stress in our body. And that's what exercise is. Exercise is a positive stress. Right. So, and it really does basically make our whole bodies feel better. And I like a variety of exercise. I think we need to do yoga. And honestly, in a perfect world, an actual yoga class, like 60 minutes, about 2 to 3 times a week. Every day, like a good warm up, like just a moving of your body, right? Flossing your spine. That would be wonderful every day, along with your meditation every day. And then start to think about, okay, what is just one, and then am I drinking water? Am I flushing my system, right? Like, am I hydrating my body? So drinking water, make sure you do drink your water, and have, and eat the vegetables, start simple, start small. And then once you've accomplished that, and you've So my big thing is I know so many people who do things for everybody else. And I used to be one of them, and I put myself last.
Mm-hmm.
And what did that get me? Adrenal failure, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I was upset with my husband, right? I was upset with myself. I never had time for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that inside of itself wasn't healthy at all. And so making just a priority, what are my priorities? The other thing for me is sleep was a huge priority.
Yeah.
And I know that that is very much connected to, and because back then I didn't sleep. And so now I sleep and I love it. And because my cortisol levels, and because I went into adrenal failure, I actually have a naturopath doctor, and I'm already done and through menopause. And the reason why she believes that is because back in my early 30s, when I went through this adrenal failure, it actually sent me off into early hormone, basically,
Early ovarian
menopause.
failure. Yeah.
Right. And so most people are just starting to get into it. I've already been through it. In fact, about 3 years or 4 years ago, my naturopath, she did some blood work, and she's like,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, she's like, Mary, I am so sorry. I just thought something else was off. She
Mm-hmm.
goes, not only are you in menopause, she goes, your numbers are so crazy. She's like, you're almost done. I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, like you are halfway through. And I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew something was a myth because my body was just being weird. It was gaining weight when it shouldn't have. I was going out through all those hot flashes. It was bizarre. I was like, why are we doing this? Lord, this is not okay. So anyways, yoga really helped me. Exercise, it has been a savior. Meditation, prayers, journaling has been a huge savior for me. And then also just really dialing in my diet. Because I love to cook, I love to bake, I love to eat, I love my wine. Wine was a big trigger. I had to cut that out. That was terrible for me.
Yeah.
And it made me have way worse hot flashes and
Mhm.
everything. So if I could just give anybody, if you're having any sort of hormonal stuff, again, alcohol is a toxin, so we're not supposed to drink it every day. It's supposed to be, just here or there. But again, that's only from my own personal journey that I've recognized this. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
One other thing that I wanted to share is I use essential oils, and they really, really help, I think. When you're stressed, I really love Serenity by doTERRA, or even just basic lavender. Those are like really directed for stress.
Mhm.
I also love Balance by doTERRA. That's one of my favorites. So those are just a few that I will either have. Well, I have them everywhere. I have them on my desk.
Mhm.
We have them in the diffuser. We have them all over.
Mhm.
I have them in my purse. It's just, they work, and they're very helpful for just a quick, like, oh, you smell it, it goes to the brain and it resets. It just, again, there's all these little tools that we can do to really help us.
Yeah.
So it's really powerful.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Well, I'm not going to take up much more of your time. I bet you have to get to the studio.
Yeah, that's okay. We're good.
So thank you so much for doing this for me. You're my first interview for my blog. So,
Oh, yay! I'm
so
excited.
this will be fun. So I think this
Yeah.
will help a lot of people. So, and I'll include a link to your website, because can anybody like purchase
Yes.
yoga classes from you, or?
Yeah, it's super easy. You just download the MindBody app, and then you can sign up. We actually have a deal if you're taking Zoom classes. They are $75 for 10 classes, good
Oh,
for a
that's
year.
great.
Yeah, so it's basically half price, because a drop-in is $15. So we just decided, because of the pandemic and everything that's going on in the world, we wanted to offer this for people. And so we've got that. And then we've also got the 3 sets of videos that you can buy. Those are $25 each. You can watch a video every single day, and those are good until the end of the year. So you've got 5 months to use all those videos.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you doing your retreat this year or no because of COVID?
So the spring retreat got canceled because it was the week that it was like a couple weeks after we were shut down, and it was just so crazy. But actually, I am doing a fall retreat.
Are you?
We
Where are you doing
are.
that?
And same place at the Pioneer Bed and Breakfast
I want to come.
in September. And we're keeping the numbers low. Family, we've got actually like groups, like families, like
Okay.
mother-daughters.
Oh, cool.
That are going to be in like one room. So we're going to keep it, I'm excited. We're going to keep it super safe. And all of that. So yeah, it's really good. We're going to talk about everything, morning routines and evening routines. And yeah, we're
Oh,
just going to
cool.
talk about motivation, how to
Yeah.
stay motivated,
I'm
all
trying
that
to
good
think
stuff.
of excuses to come back up to Alaska for something.
Anytime, you
That
just
might be an
come.
excuse. So, all right. All right. Well, thank you, Mary, for doing
You're
this.
welcome.
And good luck with everything. I'll
Yeah,
talk to
thank you. You too.
All right.